My mom loves telling us her childhood experiences, especially the scary ones. Now, this story that I'm about to recount is a story that she told us over 1,000,000 times. It, to this day, is my favorite, and in fact, the scariest story that I have ever heard. This is how she recounts it. I remember back in the days when I was in high school. It was the most brilliant times I've ever had. I was always learning something new. It felt like I was in an amazing adventure. But sadly, every time I think of my high school days, I think of this one incident that completely scars it. Now, this story that I'm about to tell you takes place during the time when I had my finals. And just to let you kids know that during these times we had a lot of severe thunderstorms and there were a lot of power cuts in our area, so we were constantly using our gas lamps and all. So one day my parents, your grandparents, had gone out for an important event and I was left alone in the house with Becky. Oh, Becky, God bless her soul. I really don't know what I would have done without her that very night. Anyway, continuing on with the story, being left alone in a big house, all alone, with those terrible storms raging outside and with terrible power cuts, it really is not a pleasant experience. The windows were vibrating with such intensity, the wind was howling. Actually, it sounded more like screaming, as if a person was going through such intense pain. The lightning was absolutely frightening. I admit, I was terrified, and I might have hidden in any quiet corner were it not for the fact that I had Becky beside me, and that I had an important final exam the very next day, so I needed to study. Poor Becky. She was just as frightened as I was, but she kept it together for the both of us. Now, as I remember, in spite of the raging storm outside, it was oddly silent in the house. It was just me and Becky sitting in the living room. The only thing that lit up the room was a small gas lamp that kept flickering, casting strange shadows on the walls. As I mentioned, it was a very silent house. But out of nowhere, a door slammed. I felt my soul jump out of me. Becky started growling. Her hackles were raised. She was suddenly on attack mode, facing the direction of where the noise came from. My fight instinct immediately kicked in, and I needed to know what caused that sound. I started walking in that direction, with Becky silently following me behind. Picking up the gas lamp, I felt it would serve as some kind of comfort against whatever caused that sound. I knew something or someone slammed that door, as there was absolutely no wind going through the house. As I approached the area where I thought the noise came from, Becky started whining and started tugging at my skirt, trying to prevent me from going further. Suddenly, I had chills. My heart started pounding in my chest. I had to run. Immediately I turned around and sprinted back towards the living room with Becky close by my heels. I knew I had to hide. I don't know why, but I knew I just had to. As fast as I could, I dived underneath the coffee table. Thankfully, it was big enough, and I pulled Becky in with me. Again, thankfully, there was a tablecloth that hid me from sight. We both immediately fell dead silent. Till today, I don't know if it was just my imagination, but I could swear that I heard a silent laugh. Out of nowhere, I heard clicking on the wooden floor, like hooves walking into the living room. As the footsteps were approaching, an overwhelming stench of burnt and rotting flesh filled my nostrils. I was shaking intensely with fear. Tears were stinging my eyes. I could not breathe. I just held my breath. The footsteps stopped a very short distance away from the coffee table. The only thing that I could think of was, oh God, help me, protect me and Becky, please. I shut my eyes really tight, holding on to Becky. Please go away. Please go away, I kept saying. And suddenly it spoke.
Are you?
I remember how my heart tightened at that voice. I felt like I was about to die at any moment. The footsteps started again, edging closer and closer to my hiding spot. I could not scream. I couldn't do anything. I just froze. It was right next to me. I felt the cloth move. I kept praying, squeezing my eyes tightly, wishing it and willing it to go away. Again, it chuckled. I felt like those were my last moments. All hope had gone away from me. All of a sudden, the power came back on, and I heard Mom and Dad close their car, approaching the house. The minute they opened the door, the thing, whatever it was, just vanished. For a few moments, I realized I was not breathing. The minute I heard them close the door, I breathed out. I had never felt such overwhelming relief. Thank God my parents came in at that time, or I really don't know what would have happened to me.